We never thought we'd go to Hong Kong, but that's where our daughter Emily lives now, so Carol and I went there in 2023 and had one of the best times of our lives. Following a 21-hour flight, we found ourselves in a city of 7.5 million people, and a place with one of the densest populations on Earth. Hong Kong is teeming with overwhelming, almost crushing crowds. Yet during our time there, we discovered beautiful parks, large natural areas, and even solitude on the beaches and the steep hillsides surrounding the city. Hong Kong is a very modern city by any measure. It's also a world financial center, and the list of major companies and high-end retailers located there goes on and on. And the people of Hong Kong always seem to be on the move. One thing we didn't know is that Hong Kong has more skyscrapers than any city in the world, and most of them are in full display from the top of Victoria Peak, which sits high above the tallest structures. We got there before sunset, and I marveled at the interplay of the light from the sun and buildings. This woman might have had the best view in the city. We decided to stay behind the railings. The skyline and busy Victoria Harbor provide a jaw-dropping view at night. Like everyone else who was there, we just couldn't take our eyes off it. Here are a few more facts about Hong Kong. It has a very high per capita income and is one of the most expensive cities in the world. Yet, as in a lot of modern cities, there is real income disparity, making it a struggle for many. On the plus side, there are fewer than 30 homicides per year, and Hong Kong has the second highest life expectancy in the world, well above the US. Great Britain ruled Hong Kong for over 150 years, but it was turned back over to the Chinese government in 1997. As a result, over half of Hong Kong residents speak English in addition to Cantonese, and many signs are in both languages, and that made navigating the city much easier for us. Officially, China has a communist economy, but capitalism seems to be alive and well in Hong Kong and shows no signs of slowing down. People sell items along every street, alley, and even hiking path. You can find almost anything in the open-air market on this street: electronics, food, clothing, jewelry, insects, dried fish, you name it. You could spend hours and never run out of sellers. For some reason, and I don't want to speculate, many of the vendors didn't want me taking their photos, especially this lady. Entire city blocks are devoted to selling one type of product. There's the bird market, the sprawling flower market, and my favorite, the goldfish market. Every day, people of all ages, couples, and families swarm the businesses looking at the thousands and thousands of fish, searching for just the right one. And I think she's found it. People from around the world live in Hong Kong, so all types of cuisine are available. But our daughter's friend introduced us to local restaurants and traditional Chinese dishes, which were terrific and really pretty affordable. We ate many things we didn't recognize and couldn't pronounce, and to me at least, it was all good. However, for Carol, the chicken feet were a step too far. We have a very limited understanding of Eastern religions and religious practices in Hong Kong, but we learned that there are many adherents of Buddhism, Taoism, and folk religions, and people sometimes revere deities of more than one tradition. Shrines and temples run the gamut, from seemingly homemade to very simple construction to architectural wonders. Within the temples, we found beautifully crafted altars and statues and other art with meanings that are unknown to us. We also found people offering prayers and practicing their quiet rituals. And everywhere, the sweet smell and smoke of incense wafted through the air. There are dozens of temples we're seeing, but two that every visitor might want to consider are the Chi Lin Nunnery and the Po Lin Monastery. The monastery is the site of the giant bronze statue, known affectionately as the Big Buddha. The nunnery and its perfectly kept gardens are in a pretty busy section of the city. The impressively beautiful main building is made of cypress wood. No nails were used in building it. Instead, interlocking grooves hold everything in place, a technique that's supposed to demonstrate harmony between man and nature. That harmony is further expressed in the exquisite gardens. I was fascinated by the juxtaposition of the modern and traditional. The noise of the city seems to melt away when you step onto the temple grounds. Temples are a tourist attraction for many, including us, but we always try to remember that they have real significance for adherents of the religions. You can reach the Polin Monastery by a difficult 8-mile climb on foot or a long, winding bus ride. But hey, this was our vacation, so we took the easiest and most thrilling way, by gondola, which passes high over water and mountain terrain. The site isn't totally devoted to the spiritual. An open-air shopping center beckons you with souvenirs, t-shirts, and snacks as you step off the gondola. The monastery and grounds are beautiful. There are numerous locations for prayer and contemplation. The temple itself is highly decorated in an explosion of colorful icons. It's awe-inspiring inside and out. Photos aren't permitted of the altars and decorations where worship takes place. The bronze 112-foot-high Big Buddha is just a short walk from the monastery, but to get there you must climb several hundred steps. We reached the top at just the right moment to catch the sun passing through the raised hand of the Buddha. Was this luck or something else? The Buddha is surrounded by statues of other figures. They're not nearly as large, but they are impressive because of their beauty and their mountaintop surroundings. This is really a special place. Caught up in the moment, Carol lit incense before our trip back down the mountain to Hong Kong Central. Emily suggested a visit to the city of Macau. It's just an hour-long ferry ride from Hong Kong, so we couldn't pass it up. Macau, like Hong Kong, was once ruled by a European country, in this case Portugal. After 400 years, the city was returned to Chinese rule. However, Portuguese influence is still visible. It's most apparent in the UNESCO World Heritage section of the city, where historic buildings in their bright candy shop colors and gorgeous tiled walkways can be found. It's really stunning. Residents of Macau share many of the same religious beliefs and practices found in Hong Kong, with Buddhism being the dominant religion. The Buddha lived 2,500 years ago. Although he never left India, his teachings and followers have spread throughout Asia and beyond. Catholics are few in number today, but in the 1600s they built one of the most visited sites, St. Paul's Catholic Church. Only the front wall still stands. It has a prominent place in the city as it sits on a small hill. It's a stunning structure and a reminder of a bygone era. No one leaves without being photographed with it, including us. Today, Macau is known for its casinos, including this one which dominates the skyline. They draw thousands of tourists willing to part with their money at the roulette wheels and trendy shopping centers. I'm not sure how much the casinos have changed daily life for the locals who own small shops, or who make a living from fishing or selling fish. Or these gentlemen, who are obviously enjoying their time together. Back to Hong Kong. And now for something totally different. Hong Kong is on the South China Sea and includes more than 250 islands, many uninhabited. Our daughter's friend arranged a boat ride for us and his family to some of the islands. And what a thrill! We sped across open water. Okay, a little too fast at times, but there were big smiles all around. The passageways between islands are used by fishermen and other commercial interests, but we felt like we had the water to ourselves. Most of the islands have steep terrain and offer challenging hikes, but the views from the tops were wonderful. Our new friends knew enough English to keep the conversation lively. We learned that American and Hong Kong families have much in common. Abandoned villages with interesting histories are on some islands. And an uncle treated us to renditions of Western hit songs.
Oh, the road is so easy. Yeah, it's so easy.
The return trip was a little slower, allowing us to take in the sun as it set over the city. At the end of each day, we rode the half-hour ferry out of Victoria Harbor to Llama Island, where we stayed during our trip. And from the ferry, we walked the mile or so back to our place. Time seems to run at a different speed here. It's a very different world from the non-stop, fast-paced motion of Hong Kong Central. There are no cars on Llama Island. Everyone walks or rides a bike, even between the few small villages on the 5-square-mile island. The only time things seem rushed is when the ferry docks and a few hundred people arrive or depart, crisscrossing each other on their journeys. In the mix are kids home from school, people to and from work, and tourists looking for a quiet weekend. The ferry feels like the steady pulse of the community. Buildings over 3 stories are banned, giving space for small shops and laid-back restaurants full of laid-back customers. And it's really pretty. We were really happy to make it our home for an all too brief time. Eventually, all vacations must end. Our trip was too short to really get to know Hong Kong, but we enjoyed every bit of what we experienced. Hong Kong is a wonderful mix of the traditions of Asia and the modern, set in a beautiful location. We will never forget the unique sights, smells, tastes, sounds, and energy of this fabulous city. We said a long and sad goodbye to our wonderful, beautiful daughter. Thank you for memories that will last a lifetime.